going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We've been on these BC Racing BR Series coilovers for about a week now, and I got a couple of things to tell you. You can see in my previous video about the wheels specifically, but I kind of showed some of the wheel gap and how we're sitting with these coilovers right now, and it's not super low, but we've pretty much eliminated all wheel gap. However, because these springs are going to take a little while to settle, I definitely want to give it several weeks or a month even before making final adjustments. But while they're settling, I wanted to make sure we didn't get too low and start rubbing. So I've been running on more of the stiffer settings and just trying to kind of feel it out, see what I like, what feels good. Right now I'm at -10. From the stiffest setting, I've backed it off 10 notches front and back. I was at about -10 in the front before and -7 in the rear, and that was for yesterday. And just driving, it was, I don't want to say it was obnoxious, but for a daily driver on these types of roads, it was just a little too stiff, particularly in the back when there's no weight in the back, there's nobody riding in the back. It just felt like the rear was kind of bouncing or lifting a lot, and especially when trying to accelerate, if the road is a little bumpy, it can feel like that the rear end is kind of bouncing around. We'll take a look at the car and how it sits right now as soon as I get to a good parking spot. But right now, -10 and -10 front and back doesn't feel all that bad. I think it'd be great for a little mountain run, a little canyon carving, a little spirited drive action. It might still be a little bit rigid for a daily driver. This road's not too bad, but you can still feel the imperfections, and when you get on some of the rougher roads, it's a little bit obnoxious, especially if you're trying to drink a Monster Energy drink or a coffee or something. It's almost impossible. Here's my first speed bump. Gotta take it slow here. Okay, a little sideways. Oh God, yep, see, she hops pretty good. Just looking at wheel gap though, I think we're just about perfect the way it is. Measurement wise, it's slightly higher in the front, I want to say, but actually the front tires are tucked up pretty well. You can see how the front is tucked in, but because of the negative camber, we can still fit fingers in here, obviously, even though you have to go in at an angle. So I don't know if I can run a spacer to push it out just slightly, but once we get the adjustable control arms, I'll just kind of tilt that and just reduce some of that negative camber, and we'll fill that gap in. But I obviously don't want them to rub, especially at full lock or leaving a driveway. But the rear is right on the money. I like how it is, actually. You can just get fingertips in there and no rubbing. When we hit a bump, the tire kind of pushes up in. So there's no rubbing. It's perfect. It's just right. It's just sitting just right. So, like I said, we'll give it another couple of weeks to settle. And just continue to drive it hard, really break the springs in, and then we'll adjust from there. Like I said, ride height I think is perfect, but getting it to the proper stiffness, getting the dampening settings proper. I'm taking notes. I take notes every day after driving as far as how it felt, the settings that I was at, and the types of roads that I was driving on, some of the things that I observed. And that way I can really tailor it going forward, knowing if I'm going into the mountains to do a run, maybe the settings I choose aren't ideal for a daily driving scenario, but they'll be good for a mountain run, for example. Then I'll adjust accordingly. But it's nice to have it written down day by day with some proper notes being taken. And also I adjusted my tire pressure, because I obviously just had these tires mounted on these new wheels, and of course they filled them up to 35 psi, and I generally run about 29 psi, especially in the rears, and maybe closer to 30 or 31 in the front. And people ask me that a lot, actually, why I don't run TPMS, tire pressure sensors, in these wheels. I just never transferred them over for my factory wheels. For one thing, I always check my tire pressures, and I'm always looking at my tires, obviously, every morning and every afternoon. It's just something I've always just done. So I don't really need tire pressure sensors because I keep a close eye on it. On top of that, because I run low tire pressures, my tire pressure light in the dash is going to be on all the time anyway. So I didn't bother spending the money on the sensors and didn't have them placed in the wheels because the light would be on. So no need for it. So right now, all I deal with is this little guy here. Flashes for a second when I start the car up, and then it eventually just stays a solid light. Now, if I was running low tire pressure in all of my tires, I'd always have the damn warning on there. If all my tires were low, I'd have the warning showing, 29 PSI in the rears and 30 in the fronts, and I'd always be dealing with that, having to close that warning out. So now, like I said, all I have is that little guy there, and that's it. So no need to run tire pressure sensors in my car. So far so good, guys, with the coilovers. It's been a little bit of an experience over the last week or so. You can really make these suckers stiff, and what I was trying to get a feel for was how stiff or how much of a change between each notch there actually is. And even just 1 to 2 notches difference actually is quite significant. I think when I originally installed them, I ran it and it was like at minus 17 from the stiffest, which was pretty soft. And like I said in my initial reaction video, that it felt more like factory stock ride quality. A little bit stiffer, obviously, a little stiffer than the lowering springs, a little less cushion, so you could feel the imperfections a little bit more. But then just backing them down or going back toward the stiffest setting a couple more notches to like minus 12 or minus 10 even, it was substantially more stiff. So just a few notches, and now just adjusting 1 notch at a time, I can really feel the difference. So like I said, just again trying to figure out what I like for a daily driver and what would be a good combination for, the fact that they're so easily adjustable. You just adjust the knob, and we have these extensions in the back. It doesn't really take much, so it's not like you have to make a bunch of adjustments, between trips. Like you leave for a trip and you want to have good ride quality, and it's a big deal to change it when you get to the mountains or the track or whatever. It's super easy. But I know what's going to be helpful, and I don't know that I'm sure other people do this too, but it's just something that occurred to me just to take the notes. That's going to be really helpful in making adjustments here and there. Knowing exactly what I want to set it to when I get to where I'm going. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to testing out is 0 to 60 times. Not only because the wheels are substantially lighter, I saved probably 26 pounds, something like that, between all 4 wheels. I'm not sure what the sport brake calipers weigh compared to the non-sport brakes. I felt like they're pretty damn heavy when I was preparing them for paint, but when I took the non-sport brake calipers off, those suckers weigh a ton. Anyway, I want to see what that difference makes. But we also have these BC Coilovers, but the stiffness is going to impact our launch as well. If you have a really stiff rear suspension, theoretically, it's going to transfer more of that power to the ground. However, it's going to break loose a lot easier, theoretically. Having a softer suspension in the rear that can take some of that torque, theoretically that should help you gain a little bit of traction to a point. You don't want super soft rear suspension, obviously, where it dampens the torque so much that you don't feel the launch. However, you don't want the opposite either, where it's too stiff and it just spins. So anyway, finding the right settings for launches, 0 to 60, 1/8 mile times, 1/4 mile times, and things like that. That'll be fun also. So I'm really pumped to get these things out and test them. Like I said, I gotta let it roll for another couple of weeks or so to let this settle, and then we can fine tune it, get our ride height perfect. Almost for fun, I kind of just want to slam it down to the ground and see what happens. But it's such a bitch to pull the wheels off and adjust the ride height and blah blah blah. But guys, stick around because I'm pretty sure I'm going to give away the Tane S-Tech lowering springs, which I think will be huge. I think there's a ton of people interested in that, and I'll have to ask him, but Jalisco's Carbon Fiber, I'm pretty sure, wanted to partner with that giveaway as well. And plus I have some other stuff to give away still, so I gotta check with him and update. There's been so much going on, we kind of haven't really kept up with our plans, but we definitely want to give back to you guys in one way or another. And now we're bringing in JR lights as well. He sent me those front sequentials, so I got to get those installed, and that's a nice partnership to have. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and the year is starting off right for Speed Culture Studios, so I'm pumped to bring this content to you guys, bring some of the savings to you guys, bring some of these giveaways to you guys. It's awesome, and I don't think there's any other channel out there that's this size, as small as this size, as small as Speed Culture Studios, just over 11,000 subscribers, that gives away like this. So I'm really pumped that I have the opportunity to work with some of the people that I'm working with right now, and give back to you guys who have supported me so much over the last year or two. I appreciate it greatly. Stick around. A lot of good stuff coming up. Let me know in the comments below what your experience with BC Racing Coilovers has been, particularly in the Nissan Infiniti world, whether it's a G37, 370Z, Q50, blah, blah, blah. Let me know. I'm curious to know what settings you guys run on. Big snowstorm coming for a lot of the country, a lot of ice, a lot of snow. Texas to New York, the whole Midwest, some of the East Coast, Southeast Coast, we're supposed to get heavy rains and cold temperatures. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. So hopefully you guys are staying safe and healthy and happy. Stay away from that COVID nonsense and all of this stuff. But, I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to what's to come for the channel and for this community. And we'll see you in the next one.